Take a peek at what that is right now. I'm going to slide this a little further to the, actually, let me go. You might turn that on for me, Caroline? Thank you. So it is located up in central Montgomery County near Cleveland. So I'm going to turn on a couple of different areas and just get you a better sense of what we're seeing. Obviously, you've got all of the flash flood warnings that are out there as well. That's one of the trouble spots that we're seeing. And then, of course, this big patch of moisture sliding in. That's where that new flash flood warning is. Thank you. We've got a couple actually across the area. So let's jump in towards what we're seeing right near Cleveland, this one in particular. And I'm going to turn on the velocity product again so we can kind of zoom into the storm, get right in deep there and see exactly what we may see or what we may not see as this moves on through. Not picking a whole up on the velocity. That's the good news. And again, these are radar indicated tornado warnings. That tornado warning goes, let's see here. Let me move this out of the way so I can see what that goes till. That's for San Jacinto County right there in Cleveland till 9:30. All right. So that's until 9:30. There's our most active tornado warning. That's the first one that we have. And then notice as we go a little further back off to the east, we've got a couple of other tornado warnings. These are all north of Lumberton and Sour Lake. Those go until 9:30. And then this one until 9:45. That's up near 287. So we'll leave those there for a second and we'll slide back over towards Cleveland here and just get a sense of what we're seeing. So I'm going to put this in motion over the last hour and just see if we can pick up on any kind of, I'm not catching a whole lot here as well. And it may be very similar to what we saw with the last 3 or 4, this is the 5th one in the morning now. Our tornado warnings is that there's not a whole lot of rotation. I think if anything that it was picking up on, because this is just starting to go through, it may be this section right in here. Let me see if I can circle that for you. It may be right in there. That could be the spot that they were seeing a little bit of rotation that's just north of Cleveland. So that in particular, if we zoom in a little tighter on this here, let me see where that is. So there's North Cleveland, and just to the north of that, not seeing a whole lot of rotation with it, but still in and across this area. So that's, let me back that out just a bit. So that's Astoria Tram Road up near Meekins Road in North Cleveland. So we're getting out there just to the west of Keno across the East Tex. There's Highway 105. So right in and around that area, there may be a little bit of circulation that we're looking at this point. But so far, I've not seen anything that would indicate any, substantial rotation or a tight little couplet where we're looking at, outbound winds going that way, the green winds going this way, and they're real tight right next to each other, like we saw at the Pasadena tornado last year in January, where they were right on top of each other. This morning, though, we are looking to see if we can get confirmation down in Jamaica Beach at about 1:30 this morning. Our own Bill Spencer, who we talked to earlier, was just with that poor lady that lost her roof, actually from Galveston County Sheriff's Department had said they had damage on, I believe, a handful of houses. So we'll let the National Weather Service send their damage assessment teams down there. But if we can get either pictures or video or something, so we can see if we can get that turned around here as well. So not picking up on a whole lot of rotation. So I'm going to go back over to the radar here just so we can get a better sense of what we're seeing. And this is going to be the case, and we're going to get some of these moving on through. And this is all part of the new flash flood warning that goes until 12 o'clock, right? So these flash flood warnings are starting to stack up here as well. And in fact, if we put this over let's take all that off. There we go. So if we take this off, all right, and then I'm going to put this in motion over the last hour or so. Notice what we're seeing is the center of it right now, or the eye. I just talked to some folks out in Katy, and they said, hey, are we done? We're kind of quiet out here right now. And my answer was, no, you are not. Although I think the worst of it is all going to slide off to the east here. This is where we may be looking at our next potential spot for some damage. You see this line right here from Rosenberg, right across 59 towards Highway 8, and where it meets up at the Grand Parkway from there to Sugar Land. And then same thing as you get over across on the north side here. I wouldn't be shocked if we're going to continue to see more additional power outages sliding across from Bush to Aldine up on the north side here. All of these green boxes that you're seeing starting to pop up, these are all active flood warnings. In fact, I'm going to take all the warnings and watches off of this just so we can just talk about the rainfall that's out there as well. I think, Sophia, you'd mentioned that we're over 2 million. Is that right?
We are just under 2 million.
Okay, so just under 2 million, so that's good. At least we're trying to get some improvement here, but it's going to take probably most of today, certainly by tomorrow. This may not be a derecho type scenario where, we're talking about massive infrastructure getting mangled from these. Still, though, 70, maybe 80 mile an hour winds we've been seeing as this storm's been packing a pretty good punch moving on through. And there's the what's left, I guess I can tell, of the eye right in here towards Katy. So you see how it just kind of clears out. So that's why folks out in Katy and down around Cinco Ranch and whatnot say, okay, well, I think we're done, right? this is it. No, but it also means some of the heaviest, the eye wall or the leftovers of this eye wall are now starting to smash their way across sections of East Harris County over towards the East End, 5th Ward, on up towards, you get up to 59. There's, over towards Roman Forest. There's Aldine. We jump in tighter than that. Kinwood over to Mount Houston, Emerson Place, Sherwood Place. There's Little York Road. That's probably going to be very messy as well. Drysdale, and then over towards Melrose Park, and then, of course, East Houston just to the south. So widen this out, and let's take a bigger snapshot. Let me go all the way back out to the beginning here just because it's a little easier. And you see that the storm is starting to move. Now, let's see where some improvement, right? In a scenario like this, we always need to go glass half full and get a better sense of where we're finally getting a break. And look at that, down to the coast. Matagorda, all across Jefferson County as you get down to Victoria, Fort Lavaca, Port O'Connor, into where our own Gage Golding is. They're finally catching a bit of a break. I think if you're on the south coast or if you're down here across the middle coast, it is done. This is the end. This is all going to start moving northward. Meanwhile, Galveston finally getting a bit of a break here as well as this band has slid off to the east here. And so it's still got a continuous pretty good fetch going all the way out, multiple nautical miles out into the bay. But right now, the majority of that is all starting to press its way into parts of Chambers County. That'll slide over towards sections around Port Arthur, over to Beaumont. And this is where I think by later this afternoon, as I mentioned earlier, and I just think we're going to start to see some severe thunderstorms and probably some more tornado warnings pop up across parts of Lake Jackson, Lake Charles, that is, as it works its way northward up towards the Woodlands. So the Woodlands right now, one of the trouble spots that certainly we'll be watching very carefully. Same thing as you go from there over towards Conroe to Cleveland. That's where, and it's this spot right here. It's this batch right here. Let me jump in a little tighter on that because I think this is the one where we're likely. And these areas have picked up close to about 5 to almost 6 inches of rain. So no reason to believe, again, these are still tropical downpours, right? So this could be an easy extra 2 to 3, 4 inches. So if you go 4 to 6, add 2 to 4 inches above that, now we're talking 6 to 8, almost 10 inches of rain, which we've already seen in some areas just south of downtown, down south of West U. So there is a chance that we could still pick up multiple double digits inches of rain in some of the spots around the metro, at least around the second loop here as you get to the Beltway when it's all said and done. Remember, it's only 9:30 in the morning at this point. So I'm talking about over the next 3 hours as this storm is going to continue to lift north. As Caroline mentioned a second ago with the advisory, this is still moving north at about 10 to 12 miles an hour, moving just dead north at this point. So that's going to put the center of the eye or whatever's left of the eye at this point from Katy on up towards Cypress, so out towards western parts of Harris County. So Cypress, Jersey Village, wouldn't be shocked if y'all get a bit of a break right now. Same thing up on the north side from 99 as it stretches on up towards 290. And then, of course, right now, just heavy rain from Spring over to Aldine to Bush as well. And then we're now starting to pick up some pretty heavy bands up on the north side here. So not a whole lot of extra rain across College Station moving north up into the northern Brazos. We'll probably see some decent winds. I'd go 20 to 30 in terms of the winds because, again, they're all wrapping around the backside of the center of the storm, which is still down here in West Harris County. But right now, 2 big trouble spots that I'm watching in particular, and that includes right here across Bush, Aldine, up in towards the 5th Ward on the north side, over towards Mount Houston, right across parts of Midtown, moving over to, let's say, where 59 meets up with the spur and 527, and then, of course, Highway 90 as it slides down Main Street, moving on down towards parts Meadows Place, Missouri City, all the way down to Sugar Land, and then in and across 99, moving south towards Thompson's too. So those are the spots that are really on the hot list right now that we'll watch very carefully. There's no lightning with these. I do have it turned on. Notice it is activated. I'm not picking up anything though. Now I've got the skits turned on too. So if there's anything that tries to go severe, it'll pop and let me know with that little purplish arrow. And I've seen maybe 2 of those all morning. So it's an indicator that we're not talking about a big severe threat here. It's mainly just heavy rain and wind that's been causing a lot of the damages that we've been seeing out across the area. And then, of course, over to the east side here, Pasadena, Pearland, over to Friendswood. Some of the folks out there towards Pearland and Friendswood have really seen some pretty good damage as well, from Highway 8 on down towards the Gulf Freeway to Hastings. And then we're starting to get a bit of a break as you go a little further south here from Clear Lake over to Dickinson. Same thing out towards Texas City and Bayou Vista as well. Now, problem with